Hey there everyone, I know a lot of us are getting ready for Christmas and all that it entails, so I figured what better than to take a moment to relax and immerse ourselves in the dark history of another haunted location. Today we are delving into the tragic past of Larnach Castle in New Zealand, which is very often referred to as New Zealand's only castle. This property is impressive with its Gothic appearance, 25 rooms and breathtaking views of the Pacific Ocean. Now, construction began in 1871 by a man named William James Moody Larnach. William started his career as a banker in Melbourne, following the gold rush to the Australian goldfields in Ararat. It was a modest start, as his place of work was nothing more than a tent which contained a dog, gun and other supplies. His hard work paid off, it seems, as he was then offered a post in Dunedin in 1867. While he was enjoying a day horse riding with his son, he fell in love with a plot of land situated on the ridge of Otago Peninsula, the place where his castle would soon be built, buying the land in 1870. It took 3 years and a workforce of around 200 men to build the property, with it finally being completed in 1874. William called the property the Camp, but it was referred to as a castle by the local press. The work on the interior of the castle then took another 12 years. The materials for the interior came from all over the world, with floor tiles from England, marble from Italy, as well as glass from both Venice and France. Then, as a grand 21st birthday gesture for his daughter Kate, he built a 3,000 square foot ballroom in 1885. But then tragedy hit the family in the most devastating way. William's daughter Kate died of typhoid at the age of 26. His first wife had already died at the age of 38, while their youngest child was still a baby. Wanted to create a happy home for his family after the loss, he married his wife's half-sister, but she too died. William married then for a third time because, as we all know, third time's the charm, right? Anyway, life was getting more upsetting by the day, as rumours started to swirl that his much younger wife, named Constance, was having an affair with his own son. And if that wasn't bad enough, gossip was being spread that since his career changed to politics, he hadn't let go of his love of banking and was now speculating, buying or trading to generate a generous return. So when he was accused of dishonourable dealings, it was more than William could stand. He had lost all respect from those around him in his mind, and so shot himself in the head in October 1898 in New Zealand's Parliament building. It seems there was no will left by William, and there was already a rift in the family due to his children being sent to England for their education, meaning vast amounts of time away from home. In the end, the castle was sold in 1906. But the history of Larnach Castle gets even darker, would you believe? For a brief time, the property became a lunatic asylum in 1918, treating soldiers who were mentally confused and exhausted, as well as patients with other mental illnesses. Then, for a time, the castle was left to rot, with the ballroom being used as a sheep pen. How heartbroken would William be to hear about that? Then in 1927, a man named Jackson Purdy bought the property so that he could showcase his many antiques. When his health started to decline, the castle was auctioned off to a Mr. Armstrong. During World War II, over 80 US soldiers stayed at the castle, eventually finding new owners again in 1967 with the Barker family. But by this point, the gorgeous property was a savaged husk of its former self. The Barker family had been on a road trip when they came across the castle and knew when they purchased it, it would need a lot of TLC. Larnach Castle had entire floors missing, mould, peeling walls and a leaky roof, to name just a few items. The Barkers wanted to restore the property to its former glory, even tracking down original furnishings, but as you can imagine, this cost a lot of money. So to keep funding the restoration, they opened the castle up to the public. Now, there were already rumours of the property being haunted by several spirits, and the Barkers used this as a way to raise funds. They held Halloween parties and Victorian ghost story events, which sounds amazing to me. And what a setting to hear creepy tales. I mean, be honest, it'd be pretty cool, right? But the castle spirits were not always tolerant of the many guests passing through its doors, and in one particular area, a ghost makes herself known physically. One couple is said to have been pushed apart by an invisible force while in Constance's room. In this area, you can still find her wedding dress on display, as well as other personal items, and it could be these that are keeping her tied to the property. Well, people have said that her room is much colder than the rest of the home and may well be Constance haunting it, while others feel it might be Eliza's spirit who is pretty pissed off that she was replaced. Now, unsurprisingly, William also is thought to haunt the property, as a male figure is seen walking around the castle, and he has every reason to be upset, as when he was laid to rest in the family crypt in Dunedin, someone broke in and stole his skull. In 1972, it was finally discovered in a student's dormitory as a young man showed it off like a trophy, even highlighting to his friends the bullet hole in the skull. Due to the fact that he himself had not stolen the skull and he hadn't vandalised it in any way, he was not prosecuted and the skull was placed back in the crypt. But it at least gives us an understanding as to why William may have become unsettled in the afterlife. In 1994, a play was put on in the ballroom of the castle called Castle of Lies, which told the story of the property. Around 100 people had been invited to watch the performance when suddenly a storm started to rage outside that had not been predicted. The wind was so violent that it blew into the fireplaces, kicking out white particles across the ballroom. Then hail began to hammer loudly on the iron roof. But more alarming was that when it got to the part of the play about William ending his own life, a crack of lightning illuminated the entire room. Margaret Barker had this to say: "It was a night to remember. As the guests arrived, a terrible storm blew up from nowhere. The smoke from the fires blew back down the chimneys so that you couldn't see and your eyes hurt. Hail crashed on the iron roof so that you couldn't hear. The doors mysteriously opened by themselves and it got very cold. In the play, just as Larnach shot himself, there was a blinding white light. Afterwards, at supper, people were talking about the lightning strike as Larnach held a gun to his head. I said, oh no, that was stage effects. We asked the stage manager. He said it was none of our doing, it was lightning. I think Larnach was present that night. He didn't like the play." Other paranormal experiences people have had include a sense of being watched, while others claim to have been touched, seen objects move on their own, as well as whispering voices in the castle and on the grounds. The ghostly image of a woman thought to be William's daughter Kate has also been seen in the ballroom that was built for her all those years ago, while another figure of a woman has been witnessed in the room Eliza died in. Could she be haunting the room she took her last breath? So what do we think about this supposed haunted location? Do you feel that the spirits of the Larnach family still reside here? I would not be surprised to hear that William's spirit is unsettled, as having your crypt broken into and becoming some sort of morbid curiosity must have been humiliating for him, especially as he was troubled at the time of his death. Then when you consider all the horrors that have occurred in the property, from the mentally tortured soldiers and other patients, and having the beautiful ballroom used as an animal pen when it was lovingly built as a 21st birthday gift to a daughter that died not long after. All of this may well have created a negative energy, one that has captured the spirits of the family. Hopefully, somehow their spirits will find peace again, especially as their home has been restored and is being well taken care of today. But what are your thoughts, my friends? Let me know in the comments below. I really hope that this video finds you well and looking forward to spending time with loved ones. Until next time, my friends, much love to you and your loved ones, and as always, stay safe out there.